Have you ever saved money so carefully that, without realizing it, you stopped living, skipped meals, skipped small comforts, skipped the little moments that make life feel worth the effort, yet still went to bed each night afraid that a single bad day could erase everything? People often repeat the phrase, never save money, without explaining it properly. It doesn't mean wasting what you earn or living without responsibility. It means money should support life, not scare you into freezing every time you touch it. Saving is important, but money must have purpose, not fear attached to it. In a small town where electricity failed more often than it stayed on, there lived a man named Daniel Harris. Daniel worked night shifts as a security guard at a warehouse far from the busy parts of town. He was quiet, dependable, and invisible in the way many hardworking people are. He showed up, followed the rules, and caused no trouble. When he returned home in the early morning hours, his body felt heavy and his eyes burned from lack of sleep. Rest didn't come easily. Instead, his mind stayed busy, counting bills, remembering recent blackouts, and worrying about what tomorrow might demand. Life in that town was fragile. Power cuts meant spoiled food, dead phones, melted candles, and constant inconvenience. One evening, while Daniel was eating dinner with his wife Sarah and their young son Noah, the lights went out again without warning. The room fell silent. Sarah lit a small candle, not in anger, but with the tired calm of someone used to disappointment. Noah stared at the weak flame and asked how he was supposed to finish his schoolwork like this. Daniel didn't answer, but the question settled deep in his chest. That night, Daniel made a quiet decision. He would save money to buy a generator. People in town spoke about generators, the way others talked about insurance or safety nets. Once you had one, life felt manageable. Daniel believed that completely. He found an old envelope, wrote generator across the front, and hid it beneath neatly folded clothes in a drawer. Every week, he slipped money inside with careful hands. To save more, Daniel began cutting away small comforts. No hot tea on cold mornings, no fruit from the market, no new shoes, even when his old ones cracked and leaked water. Each sacrifice hurt, but he convinced himself it was temporary. It was for the future. It was for safety. At first, the envelope brought comfort. Its growing weight felt like protection. Daniel believed he was finally doing something right for his family, but life didn't pause just because he was saving. And very soon, Daniel would discover that money hidden away can disappear faster than expected, especially when fear is the one guarding it. The envelope felt like security until the night his son fell ill and Daniel reached for it with shaking hands, realizing how thin his sense of safety truly was. The night Noah fell sick began like any other blackout. The power had been gone for hours, the house lit only by a single candle that bent and trembled with every small movement of air. Noah's skin felt too warm, his breathing shallow and uneven. At first, Daniel told himself it was nothing serious. Kids got fevers, they always had. But as the night dragged on, Noah's forehead burned hotter and his small body started to shake. Sarah wrapped him in a thin blanket and looked at Daniel without speaking. The fear in her eyes said everything. They didn't wait any longer. Daniel grabbed his jacket, lifted Noah into his arms, and stepped into the dark street. The town felt empty, swallowed by silence and shadow. Only a few distant dogs barked as they hurried toward the small clinic near the main road. Inside, the generator hummed weakly. The doctor checked Noah quickly and nodded, saying the fever needed treatment right away. Then came the quiet sentence Daniel had expected but still wasn't ready for. Payment first. Daniel's hands shook as he rushed home, pulled open the drawer, and took out the envelope. The word generator stared back at him like a cruel joke. He counted the bills twice, hoping he was wrong. In minutes, most of the savings were gone. Noah received the medicine and slowly stabilized, but relief didn't settle in Daniel's chest the way he thought it would. Instead, fear took its place. The envelope was thin now. Too thin. A few weeks later, the landlord announced a small rent increase. Not much, just enough to hurt. Then at work, Daniel's supervisor told him his shoes were unsafe for night patrols. He needed new ones immediately. Again, Daniel reached into the drawer. Again, the envelope grew lighter. He started working extra hours whenever they were offered. Sleep became shorter. His temper grew quieter, but sharper inside. He forgot small things. He spoke less at home. He felt tired in ways rest didn't fix. People always said saving money made you safe, but Daniel felt the opposite. The more carefully he saved, the more afraid he became of losing what little he had. One night, during a town-wide blackout, Daniel stepped outside for air and noticed something unusual. Across the road, a house glowed softly, steady and calm, while the rest of the street stayed dark. It belonged to Mrs. Bennett, an older woman who sold snacks near the school. Curious, Daniel walked over and asked how she still had light. Mrs. Bennett smiled and held up a rechargeable lantern. She explained she charged it when power was available and rented it out during blackouts. It helped her earn a little and worry less. That simple explanation unsettled Daniel more than any bill ever had. For the first time, he saw the difference between money hidden away and money put to work. The envelope in his drawer had stayed silent. That lantern spoke. It gave light and returned value. That night, Daniel sat at the kitchen table long after everyone slept. The candle burned low as he opened the envelope again. The numbers offered no comfort now, only a tight feeling in his chest. And for the first time, Daniel allowed himself to wonder if saving alone was never the answer. That question would lead Daniel to make a decision that felt terrifying at first, because spending money for him had always felt like failure. The next morning, Daniel woke with the same tight feeling in his chest, but something else sat beside it. Resolve, thin and uncertain, but present. He didn't feel brave, he felt exposed. Still, he knew he couldn't keep living the same way. Saving money only to watch fear grow around it had left him tired and smaller than before. When Sarah woke and quietly asked if he was still saving for the generator, Daniel shook his head, not with confidence, with honesty. He said something he had never allowed himself to say out loud, that he didn't want to save just to feel safe anymore. He wanted to build something that could actually help them live day to day. Sarah looked worried because worry had become a permanent guest in their home, but she listened, and that listening alone felt like relief. Later that day, with hesitant hands and a racing heart, Daniel used part of the remaining money to buy 2 rechargeable lanterns and a small phone power bank. Each step home felt heavy, as if he were doing something wrong. Spending still felt like risk, and risk felt like failure. But he pushed forward. He made a quiet agreement with a nearby barber. Daniel would help close the shop at night, and in return the lanterns could be charged during the day. The deal was small, almost embarrassing in its simplicity, but it felt like movement, something he hadn't felt in a long time. That week, when another blackout hit the town, Daniel walked door to door in the dim streets. His voice was low, his confidence shaky. He offered light and phone charging for a small fee. Some doors stayed closed. Some people looked at him with suspicion, but others, tired of darkness and silence, agreed. That first night, he earned very little, but it felt different from money hidden in an envelope. This money returned with purpose. Daniel began writing everything down in a notebook, every expense, every small gain. He showed Sarah each page. For the first time, money wasn't a secret between them. It became a shared plan. Week by week, Daniel added another lantern, then another power bank. Some choices worked, others didn't. Noah began helping too, writing names and times in careful letters. Proud to be useful, proud to be included. Their home changed quietly. Meals felt calmer. Conversations lasted longer. Neighbors knocked with respect instead of pity. Even when nights were tiring, Daniel felt stronger because effort now brought something back. Then one stormy evening, a lantern broke. The old fear returned instantly, sharp and familiar. For a moment, Daniel stood frozen, caught between the man who hid money in drawers and the one who was learning to move forward, even when things broke. For a brief moment, Daniel just stood there, staring at the broken lantern in his hands. The rain had stopped, but his chest felt tight, the old fear rising fast. His first instinct was familiar: to freeze, to hide, to push everything back into a drawer and pretend nothing had changed. That was who he had been for years, a man who believed safety came from holding on too tightly. But this time, something was different. Instead of panic, Daniel sat down at the table, opened the notebook, and looked at the numbers. They weren't comforting, but they were honest. He used the money he had earned, not saved, to repair the lantern. It hurt to spend it, but the fear didn't swallow him the way it once had. He learned from the mistake, set small rules for himself, and moved forward instead of backward. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel added another lantern, then another power bank. Slowly, carefully. He learned what worked and what didn't. There were nights when only a few neighbors came by and nights when the street felt alive again with quiet conversations and shared light. Noah helped keep records, proudly handing customers their charged phones. Sarah smiled more often, though worry still lived quietly behind her eyes. Their home didn't change in big, dramatic ways, but it softened. Meals felt less rushed. The silence at night felt peaceful instead of heavy. Eventually, Daniel bought a small solar panel. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't powerful, but it worked. The first morning, sunlight touched it. He felt a calm he hadn't known in years. That night, when the power failed again, their house stayed bright, steady, warm. Noah looked up at him and asked if this meant they were finally safe. Daniel thought for a long moment before answering. He told his son that safety wasn't about hiding anymore. It was about building something that could stand again tomorrow, even if today went wrong. Later that night, Daniel flattened the old envelope and placed it inside the notebook, not as a reminder of failure, but as proof of growth, of who he had been and who he chose not to remain. When people praised him for being good at saving, Daniel smiled quietly. He said he learned that saving alone cannot protect a life, but using what you have with care, courage, and purpose can slowly turn fear into light. And in a town of blackouts and long nights, Daniel finally understood something simple and true. Money isn't meant to be hidden from life. It's meant to be guided carefully through it.